What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Mo Beast here again. Hope everyone had a good 2024 and a good start to 2025. Kind of want to make this kind of a quicker video, more of on my perspective and some of the reflections that I've had about the state of VR in terms of hardware. This will be a two-part video. This video I'll be focusing more on the hardware. The next video that'll be coming out is about the software in VR. It's kind of the reflection in the last year or two and kind of a little bit of the past, but mainly in the last couple of years of this generation of VR and what I hope for the future of VR and some of the things that I noticed that could improve, that would improve the state of VR, and some of the cons that I've noticed, some of the things that are going on in the industry that I feel like is that are holding it back. And like every video, it is my own opinion, my perspective. I'm not perfect. I'm not gonna be always right. I might miss a few details, a few things, and aspects. I don't want to make this video too long, so I kind of have to brush over different aspects of it. That's why we have the comment section. If I do miss anything, please comment below. Be respectful to each other. Everyone has their own opinion and perspective. If you're watching this video, you're probably not here to just hate on VR. You might, but if you're watching this video, you probably enjoy VR and want it to improve. So we're all one big VR community, and let's all be respectful of each other in the comments below. That's about it, and let's get in the video. VR has come a long way since the first time I did try a VR headset, which was back in 2016 with the HTC Vive at the Microsoft store. Now we're talking about, lot more lightweight VR headsets with inside-out tracking, standalone capabilities, and PC VR and wireless streaming. We've come a long way. There's a lot more eyes on VR right now, a lot more software, a lot more headsets out there, a lot more talk about it. And there's a lot of different iterations of VR, like AR glasses, VR glasses, whatever you want to call them. There's a lot more to the industry now, which is really good. I mean, there's been a lot of progress, and a lot of us are excited for the future of VR, especially for gaming and entertainment. Mainly for me is the gaming and different immersive experiences. And in terms of VR hardware, right now in this generation, majority of people only really have the Quest 3. So this is kind of like a positive and a negative. Meta's kind of riding the wave of the Quest line. The Quest 3, not like it's not a good headset. It is a huge improvement from the Quest 2. It's everything that we've been wanting from VR, from Meta, because Meta's really the only one that's really pushing VR forward. Ever since they switched from Facebook to Meta, and they already bought Oculus, and then they stopped the Oculus line. It's mainly been Oculus slash Meta and the Index, kind of the biggest VR headsets out there. More common in terms of PC VR and for Meta standalone, and it goes to PC VR and standalone. You do have PSVR 1, PSVR 2, and you have other headsets out there that are a little bit more niche, and they're not as accessible in terms of price tag, and support. That's kind of the issue. So we kind of don't have a lot more players in the hardware space for strictly VR headsets. Everyone's in this race and using buzzwords to appease stockholders, and sometimes Meta feels like it's a different company every year. One year they're a VR company. One year they're AI company. One year they're an AI social media company. One year they're trying to push social aspects in VR. It's like every year it's a little bit different. And I understand from a business perspective, they have to appease the investors and stockholders. And they're trying to put their hands in a lot of different things in order to be there when the next big boom in AI and VR and social and tech happens. Because we're in that era where it's coming. Everyone knows it's coming, but no one really knows how it's going to look like and what's going to be the first thing to really push it forward. And it seems like AI is. So Meta's kind of switched towards that AI. And when they are talking about VR, they're not really talking about gaming too much. They do mention the standalone aspect, but on these keynotes, they don't even mention PC VR. Even if they do mention standalone, it's not really heavy. They'll brush over it, have a small segment of it, because right now they're trying to appease to the masses. And in terms of entertainment, there are entertainment aspects of it in terms of, they made Xbox Game Pass available. YouTube is available. You have sporting events, concert events, but those aren't really pushing VR, and those aren't really the backbone. And I don't feel like they don't admit enough that gaming is kind of the backbone of the Quest in VR, because it's essentially everyone from the Oculus fan base, and it just became meta, and it's the most affordable thing. And if you look at all the kids that are playing with VR headsets, it's all gaming. And from people from kids to people my age and older, it's all immersive and gaming experiences. And I feel like the fact that they don't push that more, because they don't want to get sucked into that game being a gaming company. They want to make VR like, hey, there's gaming, but we want it to be this because not everyone's a gamer. The PlayStation VR is geared towards gamers more. And I feel like that was an opportunity for Sony with the player base that they have. It could have been, a lot more, but we'll get into that a little bit more. But with Meta now they're opening up their operating system to third party companies where they can use the operating system and build their own headset. That's kind of really what we have only on the horizon. Deckard is there, but there's really no indication of when that's going to happen. I feel like maybe possibly that the third party companies using Meta's OS might be before the Index. Just knowing how Valve operates, they take their time, and everyone wants to wants them to take their time to build a good headset. But we're all just so anxious for the Deckard. But I feel like companies like Asus, they've mentioned that they'll make their own headset. But will that headset be actually good? Will it be functional? Will it have a lot of issues? They've never really built a VR headset, so we don't really know what's that going to look like. Is it going to just be the same thing as the Quest, but just Asus? Is it going to be a lot more where they increase the price tag and make it, hey, we're going to build a full-on headset for VR enthusiasts that love PC VR and standalone, where we're going to just make this bad boy beefy? I would be down with that, but we have no indication, and that's kind of just hopes and dreams. That's all we have to really go off of, and I really hope that they do something like that to really create more competition within the space. We have other companies like Pimax and Apple with their Apple Vision Pro. Apple Vision Pro was really cool to try, but it wasn't really anything. It wasn't really anything where I would go rush to the store, especially with the price tag. And you're only stuck with an iPhone, and it's more about like you're using your apps and pictures and FaceTime. To me, I'm like, it's not really what I really want. I want more like immersive experiences in gaming, and that's what a lot of people out there do want. If I want something for my phone, you're probably gonna get one of those AR glasses from Xreal, Vitcher, and Rayneo. Those are kind of a little bit more realistic. In terms of the price tag, I feel like if you want it for your phone to be like a wireless one, that's a little bit easier to take a easier pill to swallow. But that's in terms of new VR hardware. That's all we really have is those third party companies and the Deckard. With the PSVR, I feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity from Sony. I feel like they just expected that headset to really just boom on its own because it's a Sony headset and there was really no other competition for the Quest. So they just like, hey, we're just the only other competition, so just come buy our headset. That's really not the case. And I feel like with the PC VR transition, they were kind of late on it. They had it come so much later, and it was still a rocky launch for the PC VR aspect of it. And I feel like it deterred a lot of people, and there was a huge missed opportunity. I don't think maybe that Horizon should have been the franchise to lead the the PSVR headset. There could have been, a better franchise to lead it with. And I feel like they felt like third-party companies, developers were going to rush to it. They did rush, but there was not a lot of push from Sony to get people to buy this thing. A lot of people were trying to push the narrative. It's $1,000 headset because you need a PlayStation, but a lot of people do have a PlayStation already. And if you're really curious about VR, and you don't like Meta, and you don't want a standalone experience, you want better graphics, you would go for PSVR. That's a really good opportunity, and I feel like Sony could have. It was lobbed to them. They just didn't dunk it. Like it was there. They just have to just put a little bit more effort. And if they really pushed the software, because they had Resident Evil 4 come out for it, which is a great game for the PlayStation VR, but that was about it. So that's kind of like that, and I really hope they do change their ways with it. Maybe add more to the PSVR to really change the direction. But who knows? And if they'll ever release another VR headset, who knows? So back to the Quest, it's essentially the best thing that we have right now for VR in terms of hardware. It's essentially the Quest 2 Pro. Not like the Quest 3 is not a good headset. I love my Quest 3. My main driver was an Index for a while. I had a Quest 2, but I wanted the Index. So I got the Index, and then the Quest 3 is like perfect. Um, and it gives us everything that we've been wanting, but we're ready for more. Where everyone's waiting around for the new Quest that everyone's talking about. They just released the Quest 3S, which is a good entry level VR headset, which is really really good. And Meta's just riding the wave of the Quest, and there's not really a huge push of innovation. There's no rush or race from them because there's not really other competition, and that's why we want competition for companies to push and do more, to do a lot more creative and innovative things, and that's kind of the state of VR right now. Tech companies aren't really taking risks because of the state of the economy and the state of tech specifically. There's a lot of layoffs everywhere from every tech company right now, and no one really wants to take any risks, especially with VR, since it's not really a huge moneymaker right now yet. It's not, it's not super mainstream like AI right now, which is the biggest thing because you can, your biggest customers are not just going to be regular customers like us. It's going to be business enterprise. So there's a lot more money to be made. So everyone's focus and shift is for the safe bet, which I understand. But even then, there's really no clarity with AI right now. So there's really no push for innovation or creativity from these tech companies because they've grown so much, which I understand they do have to appease the investors because there's money and there's so much going on. And I do this myself. I tell myself all the time, and I want you guys to think of it as balanced and as middle as possible because they are a business. Say what you want to say about companies. No one's perfect. There are aspects of them that suck. They don't do too well. A lot of scummy things. But from a business perspective, I definitely understand. But at the same time, as a business, you do need to be creative and innovative. And I feel like with the first boom of tech, there was a rush of that. With gaming, same thing. The state of gaming right now, there's not as much of a rush for creativity, innovation. It's kind of a little bit more of the same, which I understand because there's so many factors, and it could be the life and death of a studio or life and death of a company, but someone has to make that leap. And I feel like once someone makes that leap, the wave of the Quest is gonna die off because everyone's just waiting for that next thing in the VR community. Like I said, the Apple Vision Pro was a cool idea, but not it. Pimax, I would love to have one, but way too expensive, and it just doesn't make sense because I have a Quest 3. I can use it for both. I have an Index. It's cool, but am I gonna go buy another VR headset? Most people aren't. I feel like that headset's a little bit more for people who are just, hey, I just want a sim race, and that's the one I want because it has exact features that I want. PSVR 2, it's there, but it's not really doing much. So that's kind of the state of VR right now, and I really hope 2025, 2026, and on, I really hope that these companies do push, and be a little bit more creative because we're all wanting more. Again, like I said, this is going to be a two-part video. Hardware and software go hand in hand together, but that's kind of about it in terms of VR. That's the state of that it's in. We do have AR glasses from Xreal, Vitcher, and Rainio, which I think they've made a huge leap this year. And all three of those companies, I feel like those have grown a lot more this year than the last couple of years, since 2022, 2021. I feel like a lot of people are rushing to buy those because a lot more usability because of the handheld market and the mobile market. And I really want one. And if they want to send me one for me to try out, I'm down. I'll make a video. I have a few ideas I wanted to do. Um, I feel like those right now, in terms of VR, AR hardware, those are kind of like the biggest thing in the community that everyone are getting their hands on. I feel like there's a lot more space for them to do a lot more. There's a lot more room for the capability of those glasses, which is really, really cool. But that's kind of it, guys. Comment below your thoughts, perspectives. Be respectful of each other. Again, these are just my opinions and perspective. If I forgot any details, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to make this as short as possible. Take care, guys. Peace.